Among the pens, the mice found a limitless supply of food and safety from predators. It didn't take long for their numbers to go through the roof.
This is a story unlike any other, one that soars through the skies with unexpected heroes. Imagine a remote village surrounded by thick jungle, struggling under a silent threat that grows bigger every day. Now picture cats, strapped to tiny parachutes, dropping from the clouds to wage a secret war.
In a swift move today, a local cat eliminated a large rat, impressing neighbors and sparking discussion about natural pest control.
These feline fighters were not just pets, but soldiers in a battle against a deadly enemy. Ravenous rats threatening to wipe out the food supply and bring disease. This strange mission, carried out in 1960 Malaysia, blends bravery, innovation, and a fight for survival that few have ever heard about. The quiet highlands and a growing threat. High in the hills of what is now Malaysia lies a cluster of villages called Bario. These small communities sit quietly more than 3,000 feet above sea level, surrounded by thick forests and misty mountain peaks. Life here was peaceful, slow, and close to nature, but it was not without dangers. For many years, the people battled a hidden enemy, malaria.
Plasmodium parasites causing malaria are spread to people through the bites of infected Anopheles mosquitoes.
This deadly disease spread silently through tiny mosquitoes that thrived in the shadows of the jungle. Fighting malaria was a constant struggle, but hope arrived in the form of science. A powerful chemical called DDT was introduced. It worked by poisoning mosquitoes before they could bite and spread the disease. Villagers sprayed DDT inside their homes, and the results were promising. The number of sick people dropped sharply, and it seemed that victory might be within reach. But every victory has a price. The poison didn't just stay inside homes. It settled quietly on the fur of village cats, animals that played a vital role in keeping rats and mice under control. As the cats became sick from the poison and many died, an unexpected problem grew worse. Rats, now free from their natural enemies, began to multiply quickly. The peaceful villages suddenly faced a new and dangerous threat. Rats swarmed the fields, eating crops, damaging food supplies, and spreading disease. The fight to survive was far from over. The people needed new heroes to stand against the rising wave of rodents that threatened their homes and their very way of life. When cats became casualties. Cats had long been the silent protectors of villages like Bario. They prowled the night, hunting rats and mice with quickness and precision, helping to keep the rodent population under control. But the chemical meant to kill mosquitoes had a hidden, deadly side effect. DDT, the poison sprayed inside homes, clung stubbornly to surfaces and to the fur of the cats themselves. As cats groomed themselves, licking their fur clean, they unknowingly swallowed the poison. Slowly, the toxin weakened them, making many cats sick and causing large numbers to die. What had been a powerful weapon against malaria became a hidden enemy to the very animals protecting the village's crops and food stores. This problem was not confined to Bario. Reports from faraway places, Thailand, Mexico, and Bolivia, revealed cats dying from the same unseen danger. At that time, few fully understood how harmful DDT was to creatures beyond mosquitoes. It was a harsh and costly lesson in unintended consequences. As the cats disappeared, the rats took over. Without their natural predators, these rodents multiplied unchecked. Fields, homes, and food stores soon became crawling grounds for fearless rats. They showed no fear or hesitation, raiding food, destroying crops, and frightening the villagers.
It's videos like this, a mouse running around the edge of a veggie salad, and this little fellow, actually one rat reflected in a mirror.
For the farmers, their worst nightmare was becoming reality. Rats were no longer mere pests. They became a threat to survival itself. Something had to be done, and quickly, before the growing rat armies wiped out the villagers' chance to live through the coming seasons. The need for a new kind of hero had never been greater. The bold rats and their devastation. Rats are clever survivors. When their biggest enemy, the cats, vanished, they grew bolder and more aggressive every day. No longer hiding quietly in the shadows, these rats began roaming openly through homes, farms, and fields. Some villagers said the rats lost their fear of people completely. They even chewed through pillows while their owners slept, gathering materials for nests without a care. The damage was swift and devastating. The rats feasted on rice seeds freshly scattered in the fields and ate young rice shoots before they could grow tall. They dug tunnels through rice mounds, nests along irrigation channels, and even inside embankments. These tunnels weakened the soil's support, risking floods and damaging irrigation systems. For the farmers, rice, the lifeblood of their communities, was disappearing before their eyes. Rats reproduce with astonishing speed, too.
Among the pens, the mice found a limitless supply of food and safety from predators. It didn't take long for their numbers to go through the roof.
Female rats start breeding as early as 3 months old, having multiple litters each year. Each litter can contain 6 to 12 babies. Within months, thousands of rats could swarm the area. This growing army of rodents didn't just threaten food supplies. Rats are carriers of dangerous diseases like typhus and plague, silent killers waiting in the dark. The villagers found themselves trapped between hunger and illness, with no easy escape. The problem wasn't just about numbers, it was about the boldness of the rats and the damage they could cause. The people needed a new solution, a new hope to push back against this relentless invasion. The unseen consequences of a poisoned victory. The fight against malaria brought early hope with the use of DDT, but it came with unexpected costs that nobody saw coming. The poison didn't just harm mosquitoes and cats, it also affected many parts of the environment. For example, moths survived the sprays, but their natural enemies, the tiny wasps that kept moth populations in check, were wiped out. Without these wasps, moth caterpillars multiplied uncontrollably, and they attacked the straw roofs of homes. Villagers watched helplessly as their roofs slowly fell apart, eaten away by hungry caterpillars. Birds were also victims of this invisible poison. While the chemical didn't kill many birds right away, it caused a dangerous weakening over time. The birds' eggshells became thin and fragile, breaking before chicks could hatch. This led to fewer birds singing in the forests, and the highlands fell eerily silent. The balance of life was shifting in dangerous ways. Every attempt to fight one enemy seemed to open the door for another problem. The villagers faced a tangled web: malaria, rats, broken roofs, and disappearing birds, all connected by the unseen hand of poison. Fighting nature's threats was never simple or without risk, but of all these challenges, one demanded the most urgent attention: the rats swarming the fields and threatening the very survival of the people who lived there. A plan from above, the cat paratroopers. With rats running wild and food supplies at risk, something extraordinary was about to happen. The British Royal Air Force came up with a bold, unusual idea. Why not send cats to fight the rats? But these wouldn't be ordinary cats. They would parachute down from planes, landing right where they were needed most. It sounds like a story from a fairy tale, but in March 1960, it became real. A large transport plane called the Blackburn B-101. Beverly took off from Singapore, carrying a precious cargo. Dozens of live cats packed safely in boxes strapped to parachutes. Their destination was Bario, a highland village overwhelmed by rats. These cats were more than pets. They were trained hunters, ready to face the rodent armies. Airdropping cats wasn't just dramatic, it was practical. The rugged mountain roads were slow and difficult to navigate, so the sky became the fastest, safest route to send help. Alongside the cats, the plane carried supplies for the villagers, such as food, medicine, and other necessities. When the crates opened in midair, the cats floated gently down on tiny parachutes, landing softly on the earth below. The villagers looked up in amazement as these airborne hunters arrived, ready to take up the fight. It was a battle waged not with weapons, but with claws and whiskers, hope and determination. Now first, like always, be sure to hit the like button down below. It helps us out tremendously with the reach of this video. Thank you. Gathering the feline forces. The cats sent to Bario didn't come from nowhere. The nearby city of Kuching, famous as the City of Cats, played a key role in gathering these furry warriors. When the urgent call went out for cats to help fight the rats, the community responded with heart and urgency. Notices appeared in local newspapers, asking people to donate their cats for this unusual but critical mission. Even the Kuching Fire Brigade joined the effort, helping to collect cats from the city. Around 24 cats were carefully chosen and prepared for the journey ahead. These cats weren't simply tossed into crates. They were placed safely in special boxes, fed well, and allowed to rest before the trip. The day of the drop was tense and filled with uncertainty. Bad weather delayed the flight, forcing the plane to reroute and wait for clearer skies. The cats themselves sometimes resisted, reluctant to return to their crates before takeoff, but the crew understood the importance of their cargo. Flying over the rugged, remote highlands, the plane finally reached Bario. When the moment came, the crates were opened, and the cats floated gently down on tiny parachutes, landing safely among the villages. These airborne hunters were ready to begin their mission. The villagers watched in awe as the sky delivered hope, tiny paws landing softly on the earth to take up the fight against a growing and terrifying threat. The battle begins on the ground. After the cats landed, the real fight against the rats began. The rodents had grown bold and strong, claiming the fields and homes as their own. But the cats were fast and skilled hunters, and their instincts took over immediately. They prowled through shadows and fields, stalking their prey silently and swiftly. For the villagers, it was a relief to see their natural defenders back in action. Reports soon came praising the cats' efforts. The rats that once seemed unstoppable began to disappear. Crops were safer, and food stores no longer faced constant threats. The cats hunted day and night, working tirelessly to protect the people's livelihoods. Yet the battle wasn't easy. Some rats were clever and aggressive, pushing the cats to their limits. Occasionally, some cats vanished, lost in the wilderness or overwhelmed by the challenge. But overall, the feline force held strong. Villagers sent messages of thanks, calling the cats angels from the sky. This unusual partnership between humans and cats became a symbol of hope and resilience. It showed that sometimes the smallest warriors can make the biggest difference. The cat's mission became a story of courage and survival, reminding everyone that even tiny paws can fight mighty foes. Not just one mission, the feline legacy. The Bario cat parachute mission was not unique. Across Malaysia, similar tactics were used before and after. In 1953, a single cat was dropped into Fort Leap to fight rats destroying food supplies. Later, in Kuala Lumpur, 2 cats parachuted onto an airfield. Witnesses said these cats landed safely, dusted themselves off, and immediately went hunting. These feline drops became practical, if unusual, solutions to widespread rodent problems. Yet even the best hunters faced challenges. In the mid-1960s, Australian troops stationed near the border faced aggressive, large rats. They requested cats to help control the infestation, but sadly some cats lost their lives to fierce rodents. The military quickly learned that feeding and caring for the cats was vital. One tabby named Mum gained fame for her swift success in reducing rats after being well fed. Cats were more than tools. They were part of the team. Despite setbacks, these feline soldiers left a lasting mark on pest control history. Their story reflects human creativity and how nature and technology can unite. The parachuting cats weren't just fighters. They were symbols of hope in tough times, showing that sometimes the strangest ideas can save the day. When cats faced war and rules. Life as a cat soldier wasn't always safe or easy. During the 1960s conflicts between Indonesia and Malaysia, Australian troops faced serious rat problems on the front lines. 5 cats were airlifted to fight the infestation, but these were no ordinary rats. They were large, bold, and aggressive. Sadly, some cats were killed in the fight. The military soon realized that sending cats into battle required more than courage. The cats needed good food, care, and preparation to survive and work effectively. Discipline extended even to the cats. When 2 cats hired by the Australian infantry disappeared during duty, the military threatened penalties, reminding everyone that even the smallest soldiers had responsibilities. Despite hardships, well-cared-for cats proved invaluable. Officers praised well-fed cats for their skill, proving that preparation mattered as much as bravery. Over time, the strange partnership between humans and cats evolved, adapting to war's challenges and nature's obstacles. Though the era of parachuting cats eventually ended, their legacy lived on. These tiny warriors left behind stories of bravery and ingenuity, a unique chapter in history where paws met parachutes in the fight for survival. The end of an era and a new beginning. As roads improved and new pest control methods developed, the days of dropping cats from planes came to an end. Remote villages like Bario became more accessible by land, making airdrops unnecessary. Modern techniques have replaced old ones, making them safer and more effective. The Royal Air Force eventually stopped the parachuting cat missions, though the exact date is unclear. Yet the story of the feline paratroopers remains a remarkable piece of history, a tale of bravery, hope, and human creativity. These cats, small but fierce, saved crops and protected communities when science and nature collided unexpectedly. Their mission reminds us that sometimes solutions come from the most surprising places. A cat that dropped gently from the sky with a tiny parachute became a symbol of resilience and determination. Though the planes no longer carry feline cargo, the memory of those brave paws lives on, inspiring future generations to think boldly and act with courage, no matter the odds. This story of cats parachuting into the Malaysian highlands may sound like a legend, but it's a real chapter of history. It shows how creativity and courage can find answers in the most unexpected places. When science brought challenges, nature offered solutions, even if those solutions came on tiny paws and parachutes. The cat's mission saved crops, protected lives, and inspired hope. As we look back, their tale reminds us that sometimes survival depends on daring ideas and the smallest heroes. So next time you see a cat, remember the paratroopers who once fought a war from the skies.